So Revelle suggested she and Piers have lunch, but he declined because of his migraine. Piers watched Revelle board a bus, headed to the city via Paddington at about 1 p.m. That was the last time he saw Revelle.
Knowledge of Revelle's movements over the next few hours is sketchy, but we do know she called the Select Companions escort agency, owned by husband and wife Zoran and Jane Stanojevic. Revelle accepted a 4 p.m. appointment with a man named Gavin Samer. Samer was no high roller. He worked for his parents' clothing business packing boxes. He was also a keen surfer. He lived in McNair Avenue, Kingsford.
She arrived at 10 to 4. She was carrying 2 bags. She had these platform heel shoes. She had a cardigan, a long skirt. She bought a bottle of champagne, which he'd requested. She rang the agency to say, I'm here, I'm safe, everything's okay. She was booked for 2 hours, but unbeknownst to Select Companions, according to Samer, she organised for another hour of moonlighting where he would pay her money in cash.
Revelle had a pager with her. Before mobile phones took over, people carried pagers and received messages the same way we get texts today. An hour into the booking, Revelle got a page from her boyfriend who'd recovered from his migraine.
Piers paged her at 5 p.m. and when he went to his friend's place, a woman called Zoe, Revelle had already rung Zoe and told her that she was having a sleep.
Piers readily accepted the story that Revelle was sleeping because she hadn't told him she was a sex worker.
At 7 p.m, she received a message from her best friend, Kate. It said, ring me. At 15 minutes later, she rang Kate at 7:15.
Kate Bretnell later made a statement to police about taking that phone call from Revelle.
I said, what are you doing? She said, I'm just sitting here. I said, is he sitting there? She said, yes. I drew from this that Revelle wasn't in a position to talk freely. Revelle said, I'll call you from home in about an hour and get changed, and then I'll come to your house and we'll go to the Royal for a few beers and I'll meet up with Piers later.
The Royal is a popular pub in Sydney.
So she was now free to make arrangements with Piers and also Kate?
She was.
Neither one she fulfilled?
That's correct. That phone call was the last time she spoke to anyone other than Samer that we know.
Gavin Samer told police that Revelle had accepted a ride from him after the booking. He dropped her off outside the Red Tomato Inn on Anzac Parade, Kingsford, which was just a few blocks from where he lived. The sun set that evening at 7:26 p.m. It was around then, according to Samer, that he last saw Revelle getting out of his car.
Piers paged her at 7:53, according to the police report. But she didn't respond to that page.
By this time, Piers had met with their mutual friend, Zoe.
They went to various bars around the city. He kept paging Revelle regularly throughout the night. His last page was 2:30 a.m, and then he went home to bed.
Revelle's mother, Jan, became concerned when her daughter failed to arrive in Newcastle on the Sunday morning train from Sydney. She rang Revelle's friends and her flatmate, who said her half-packed suitcase was still on her bed. Her flatmate then reported her missing. 5 days later, the police issued a public alert and acknowledged that Revelle had disappeared.
Police in Sydney fear for the safety of a young model who's been missing for 6 days.
22-year-old model Revelle Balmain went missing in Anzac Parade at Kingsford around 7 o'clock last Saturday night.
Early on, police believe Revelle had been abducted after her last appointment.
Police believe within half an hour of being dropped off, she was simply snatched from the street.
Members of the public found Revelle's personal items scattered in the streets around Kingsford within hours of her suspected abduction. Police recovered her shoulder bag, keys, a pair of platform shoes and her diary.
We believe that they've been thrown out from probably a motor vehicle as it's driven away or as it's driven to that other spot.
There was still a faint hope that Revelle was alive and being held captive by her abductors. Nearly 7 weeks after she disappeared, New South Wales Police organised for a model dressed as Revelle to reenact her last possible movements, walking the streets near the Red Tomato Inn.
The frustrating part is that there's someone out there or some people out there that do know, and it's just so difficult to accept that.
There was relentless interviews with the media, but the media assisted us greatly because we needed to keep her story out into the papers and on TV.
Revelle's distraught family were desperate. They made flyers which included the police's abduction theory.
We put these flyers into the local shops. They talked to people in the Kingsford area. The only way that we could get through it was our conversations on the phone every night.
We are worried. And we're not hoping. If you know of anything, just ring the police. It's as easy as that. We just want them back.
Next,
There were scratches on his chest.
Gavin Samer becomes a person of interest.
He said he didn't know how he got them.
There are increasing fears tonight that missing Sydney model Revelle Balmain may have been abducted.
22-year-old Ravel vanished at Kingsford on November 5. Police suspect she was abducted.
I'm totally concerned for her because she's a young girl, and to say that the situation may well have been that she was taken from the street.
The New South Wales Police did nothing to discourage media from reporting that Revelle Balmain may have been abducted. But here's what they weren't telling the public. They didn't reveal details about her life as a sex worker, nor where she was last seen alive. 2 days after she disappeared, police hauled in Gavin Samer for questioning. What did they learn from Gavin Samer?
They learned that there are a number of inconsistencies in his story, that there were certain things they noticed about him. There was a scratch, like a fingernail scratch on the left-hand side of his neck. There were scratches on his chest, which the forensic pathologist said were suggestive of fingernail scratches. And there was a cut in the middle of his left finger, which, again, the forensic pathologist said was suggestive of a bite mark.
So how did Gavin Samer explain the scratches on his neck, on his chest, and the possible bite mark on his finger?
Initially, in the first interview, he said he didn't know how he got them. In the second interview, he said he remembered that he got them surfing. Might have got them on his surfboard. He wasn't sure.
Police examined Samer's wetsuits to see if there was damage consistent with his scratches. The results were inconclusive.
Then later, he said he could have got a couple of them gardening.
Samer's girlfriend, who was away for the weekend that Samer booked Revelle, noticed his scratches when she returned. She told police he'd washed the bed sheets, which was an unusual thing for him to do. The car had also been cleaned.
So was there any DNA material whatsoever found in the car, or was there a proper forensic examination of the car?
There wasn't any forensic investigation of the car until, I think, 9-10 days later.
However, there was no forensic search of the McNair Avenue property. If there was any evidence of a blood trail in the house, forensics would have found it.